Good morning, everyone. It's time to begin the class. Just a couple of things, kind of administrative. You do have a chat functions for questions, and Stephen, who has been involved with CLIP for many, many years, will be responding to the chat. I'll try to keep my eye open as well. That means that if you do submit a question or a topic, he can reply to it, and also we can maybe cover that as part of the class as needed. As I mentioned a few moments ago, we are recording this, and it will be put up on our YouTube channel sometime. I will be optimistic and say by the end of the week, but I don't want to put pressure on Stephen to get that done so soon as he's busy with other projects and such. Okay, today's class is on end-of-year functions. Now, often at the end of a season or the end of a year, there are a variety of things a company does to reset and get ready for the next year and the next season. And we have a specific section with the program to cover some of those basic features. And where we're at currently, as you see on your screen, we have the Customize tab here, and there's the End of Year Functions section here. And when you click on End of Year Functions, you see this screen, and we're going to be going through each of these. Now, there are two other activities you can do end of year. The third one we'll look at today, if we have time, are price adjustments. If you wanted to raise prices, this would be one way to do that. The other thing we're going to look at is for companies that may have finished their mowing season in October or November, and they want to move those jobs to 2025, there's some ways to do that. And we'll look at one of those ways that will keep the day of the week aligned for the customer. So a Monday customer in 2024 can easily be moved to a Monday in 2025 for the beginning of next season for that. Okay, so the three things we're going to try to cover today are is this screen, end of year functions. We're going to look at being able to move jobs to a future date easily for the next season. And then we'll also look at some price adjustment type actions you can do. Okay, so we're going to start with this list, and the first one is reset variable schedule 1 year later. Now, not everyone uses a variable schedule, so let's take a look at this. We're going to go up here, and we're going to go to Bart Simpson and his lawn maintenance service. So we go to Jobs for Bart. Here's lawn maintenance. And down here, we have currently, it's 11 days between jobs. What variable schedule enables a user to do is to set up a time or a date when a job will go from one frequency, say weekly, to biweekly. So right now, we started this year weekly, and then we went to biweekly at the end of September. And then at the end of March of 2025, we're going to go back to weekly. And the way that looks on the calendar is this. So again, bi-weekly through March, and then weekly through October. Okay, so this is variable schedule, and this is, as I said, isn't used by everyone. It's primarily used if you're in a warmer climate where you work year round, but that doesn't mean you necessarily visit every week year round. The schedule will vary. It's variable so that you can easily move a job from being weekly to bi-weekly back to weekly. You can make other changes. Some companies will go weekly during the bulk of the season, then they'll switch to bi-weekly, then the monthly, then back to bi-weekly, and then back to weekly. The program is quite dynamic in being able to manage those. End of year functions comes into play because you don't want to come in to each customer and come to each customer's variable schedule and manually change these ahead by 1 year. And so what the end of year function here, reset variable schedule 1 year later, that will automatically add one year to that schedule. And you can choose which services you want to manage that way. So this is a list of basically all the jobs in your system. So if I wanted to trigger this now, which I don't, I'd come in here, choose lawn maintenance. And so I reset variable schedule 1 year later for the service lawn maintenance, and I'd hit process. Now I could choose more than one. So let's say I had this lawn maintenance with an asterisk too. See, now it shows both jobs, and I could reset their variable schedule without resetting all the services. And each of these drop downs basically would be the job or jobs you want to focus on for this end of year function. Okay. So that's the first one here. The second is reset stop schedule for 1 year. The variable schedule it's used, I'd say, by a significant number, maybe not the majority, but a significant number of CLIP users. Start-stop schedule is much less commonly used, but for those who do use this, and we'll look at an illustration in a moment, for those that do use this, sorry, I'm getting okay, sorry, my phone was ringing. So we do the reset start stop schedule. That refers to this function. So we're going to go back here, not to BART. We're going to go to another one we got here, Ben Warfield. So we're going to open up Ben's account, go to jobs. And here in his lawn maintenance job, I have a start stop schedule on a specific date. Now, this is used in a couple of different ways, because when this stop schedule arrives, it will put the job on hold when you go to populate the workbank. It will be put on hold. Now, what this does, this allows for two different situations. Some companies, they want everything put on hold at the end of each year, and they then renew contracts. And as contracts come back in, they then go in and reactivate jobs. So this is a way for you to say, okay, as of November 30th, I want lawn maintenance, either for everybody or for individual customers, to go on hold. So I don't inadvertently keep this job active and start doing it next year if I've not received a contract back yet. So that's one scenario. Another scenario is you might get a call from a customer telling you, hey, we're selling our house and we're going to be out of here by February 28th, so we won't need any services. You can go in here to the jobs you perform for that account and set a stop schedule then for 2/28/2025, and then it'll go on hold, and you won't again inadvertently continue to do work for someone for a vacant house or where no one is paying for it. But the situation for the end of year function is for that first where you want the jobs to go on hold, and you want them then to be able to be put back active when the customer signs up again. And one way to manage that would be, again, to come into reset start stop schedule, come here, and you would choose the relevant jobs. And this might actually be a case where you would select everybody. And then if I triggered this by hit process, then this job, these dates would have been rolled ahead by 1 year for me. Okay, so that's the second option in end of year functions, is being able to do the start stop schedule 1 year. Again, not a commonly used feature of the program, but for those who do use it, this is a nice capability to have. All right, now we're getting into things that are probably relevant to more of you all. And let me kind of just uncheck these, just because I don't like these displaying here if I don't need them. Okay. All right. So reset programs and rounds. And so we're going to go back to Ben, and here we have his programs and rounds. He has a silver program. We're going to look at the early spring application. Now notice in programs and rounds, when you finish an application and you finalize it, the status changes to done this year. There are 4 different status options for programs and rounds: hold, active, done this year, and skip this year. You get to the end of 2024 and you want to reset all of these to be active, because as long as this early spring says done this year, it's not going to reappear on the schedule when you go to activate rounds for next year. And these then need to be reset. Now they're reset based on the name or of the program. So let's just look at that here. So we're going to go to patterns here, pattern programs. Now we've got Turf 5, 4-step, Chem 1, and so on, these 5-character program codes. Well, back here, we go to reset programs and rounds, and here are your different codes. And that means that you can choose specifically what programs you want to reset. And again, there may be some situations for those of you in the South where you do applications year round, and so you might want to not put certain, like let's say you do some at the end of the year and then into the next year, your season is not so clear cut as to be done for the winter. You may not want to use this for all of your programs, but be selective on when you reset them. But for most of you, you would choose all probably, and then reset. And when you do this, hit process, then what happens, the done this year for all your applications, so this is affecting those applications, it will flip these from done this year and skip this year. So it affects both of these settings. It will then make them active. And then you can always come in and put certain people on hold if they don't get certain settings. But if they're on hold, they're going to stay on hold, because you might have a 5 or 6 step program, and some customers only get 4 or 5 of those. And so you have some of them on hold because the customer is not getting those. You don't want them affected globally through this end of year function, but you do want those where you did the job or where you skipped it, because you wouldn't have skipped it if you weren't going to do it. So it should be active for 2025. It will change these settings to active, and you'll be ready then to go for next season for your application pest control type services. Okay, so that's the reset programs and rounds here for that. Okay, the next one is reset job done count. And let's go to back to Mr. Warfield here. And we're going to go to his lawn maintenance service. Okay, so we've done this 36 times this season. Every time you finalize a job, the done this season for that job increases by 1. So you can come in and you can take a look at this and see how many times you've provided a service. And for those of you with installment customers, this can be tied to what are called more charge options, because you're able here, for instance, let's say this is an installment. The customer is paid for 36 cuts. And so what you can do here is you can put 36 in here, and they pay $50. So we're going to say 50 here. And what this means is if the done this season exceeds the max of 36, I have to have apply here, then we will charge the customer an additional $50, because in the installment we've set up for the customer, he's only paying for 36. If you do a 37th you have the choice of not charging the customer for that, and maybe that'll be easy because some seasons you might only do 34 or 35 cuts. But if you do extra work and want to charge for it, then this max, when exceeded based on done this season, will charge an additional $50 for this customer. So the done this season is especially important for those of you who have installment customers and use this charge over max feature. And then again, when we come back here, we've got reset job done count. And again, you can do this selectively. And for those of you who do snow removal, you may not want to reset the snow removal services because you did some snow events into the year in late November, December, and you have more coming up in January, February, March, and you don't want to reset those until you're done with all your snow removal. So you could come in here and check off everything, but down here where we get to shoveling, snow plowing, snow removal, etc., you may not want to reset those to 0 quite yet. You can wait and do those in the spring. Okay, so that's reset job done count. Now, reset done this year and skip this year. Now, we already looked at reset programs and rounds. And when we did this, it was to reset those that were done this year, skip this year. So what is this referring to? Well, let's go back to Ben here. And notice for a job, so this is a job, lawn maintenance, it's not part of a program, it's not a round. You also have 4 possible status settings: hold, active, done this year, and skip this year. With programs and rounds, in the round or the application, when you finalize an application like the early spring, it will automatically change the status setting from active to done this year. Or if you skip it, it'll automatically change that from active to skip this year. So again, with the applications, the programs and rounds, a change in this status setting is done automatically when the job is finalized. That is not true of jobs. The user has to manually go in and change the status to done this year. Now, frankly, I'm a little unclear as to really the usefulness of that. I can understand why the applications would automatically be changed, but I just am not sure why someone, and I've not had a user discuss this with me and talk about why he or she would change this. I mean, it might be you want to show that the spring cleanup or a one-time type service has been done, and you can change it to done this year instead of just putting it on hold. But again, that's something that you as a user needs to do manually. You would need to go into the customer, go into the service, come here and manually change this for whatever, so but if you do that, and again, I've yet to really meet someone who has or who does, you can, through end of year functions, reset jobs. Again, this has to do with programs and rounds. This has to do with jobs, and you see it here. These are the jobs, and up here, you've got the programs. So they're focusing on different parts of the software, different databases within the software. But this will reset that for you should you need to do that. Again, I would be surprised if anyone uses that or uses it extensively, but one of you may be able to correct me with that. Okay. All right, the next one is set prepaid services to charge per job. All right, so we go back in and we go to our silver program here for Ben. We click edit program. Let's say he was a prepay. So at the beginning of the season, he's going to prepay me for his applications. So now I come in here, I look at late spring, and it's marked prepay. Well, we go through the season and we get to the end of the season, and all of these jobs are still flagged as prepaid, even though we're now looking ahead to 2025 and they haven't been prepaid yet for 2025. What the end of year function allows you to do is reset these to charge per job. So I'm going to come in here, set prepaid, come to all, and then this allows me to choose by individual services. Now, one thing, and this is showing us jobs. We're going to take a little detour now because how do you do that then for your programs and rounds? Because this will do it for jobs. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back in. So we've got our programs here. So I'm in the patterns, pattern programs, and I go to edit the silver program. And over here, you've got then the different settings here. So what you can do, and this is another way to make global changes, and you might use these at different times in the year and the season. If I come here, and so let's go, let me just look at some. So late summer, and we're coming here and we're looking at Ben. So let me just look at, or late spring, okay. So late spring is set to prepay for Ben. So I come back here, got late spring. I make this bill type. Oh, wait a second. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. Okay, so this is the Turf 5. Let it close. Okay, Turf 5 silver program. Then late spring. Okay, good. Late spring. And I change this then to charge per job here. And I save this. And I check this box here. Okay, so I've changed the bill type to what I want because I haven't started getting my prepays in yet. So I'm changing this here. And I'm going to click Update All Rounds. And so it's going to update the selected checkbox, which is for charge per job, for all customers that have this round. I'm going to say OK. All right, so now we're going back to Ben. Now it hasn't changed it yet because I need to refresh this. So I'm going to go up to lawn maintenance. I'm going to come back down to late spring and see it's been changed now to charge per job. So the way to do end of year functions for your programs and rounds, and this is something I'll discuss with development, is not to do that here. Now this will do your if you prepay for mowing or for other services, it can reset those here. But to reset them for programs and rounds, you want to go into patterns, pattern program, go to the program you want to edit, come over, change the field you need to, and we're specifically talking about changing this field from prepay, and you just set it to charge per job. You would save it, then check the box and click Update All Rounds. And only when you check the box does this become live. So this allows you then to update the bill type for those prepay jobs so that they're set to charge per job. Then as you go in, and as we saw this a moment ago, when you get from Ben that he is prepaid, you can just go into the program again here in his account, edit program, change this to prepay or set this to prepay, check the box and hit save and close. And now we go back to late spring and it says prepay again. So that's what you would do as contracts come in. You can do that at the individual customer level easily enough. All right, last one is reset discount on services. You're able to create different discounts for people, and then these would be assigned to different jobs. So you might have a lawn maintenance discount, or you may have just a discount, a 3% discount for people who get set up with installments or discount for prepay. And those are seen in the job level here. So notice there's this discount button. And so I come here, oh, let me get out of this. I want to go back to jobs. So we go to lawn maintenance and go to discount. And let's say I wanted to select this as a 3% discount that I have for veterans. So here's 50 minus 3% gives us a 48.50, replacing job. So it says 48.50. So if I come back here then, and I reset the discount, I don't want to reset the 3%. I can hit process. Now I come back here. Let me get out of there and refresh. And it didn't work. Okay, note to development for that. But for those of you who do discounts, and discounts, I've not seen a lot of that for users. So I'll have to run through that again and just check that and let development know that it may not be working properly. So that's the intent of this, is to reset discounts or services. Okay, so I mentioned that the class is going to have 3 different sections to it. The first is the end of year functions, and then we're going to go on in a moment to the 2 others we're going to cover. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is I'm going to, let me see if I can. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself, and we'll spend a few minutes just any questions you might have. So if you do have a question and you've not used the chat, you can go ahead and unmute your audio and be able to ask a question if you have any. So we'll open it up for questions, or you can use the chat to do that. Now, here we go. Okay. With the reset job done count function, what happens if it has been done once this year already? Does it reset for January 1st, 2025, or from the day you reset the job count? Okay, it resets it from when you actually run this process. So today is January 8th. So if I did a job yesterday and that job is included in that job count, it's going to be reset to 0. But you can manually go in and edit that field. So if we come back here to lawn maintenance, let's say I did the reset to 0, but I happened to go out and mow. I'm in Florida, say, and did it once already this year. I can come in here and just manually set it to what I've actually done, 1, and then be good to go for moving forward. But yeah, the reset done will allow you to it can be edited based on what the user's needs are. Okay, thanks. That was a good question, Erica. Okay, any other questions? You can use the chat or the audio if you want to unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, I am going to mute you all again. Chat is still open. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at, again, this is what companies may need to do or may want to do as far as getting ready for the next season. And the scenario this is addressing: you finished your mowing in the late fall, early winter, so maybe end of October into November, maybe even in some cases into December. Well, what that means is that the jobs may have been rescheduled for a date in November, but you're done mowing, so they're just sitting there cluttering up the schedule. Now, this is actually managed under the, let me close this. This is managed under daily and get work. So I'm going to come in here. Let me start from scratch. So I'm going to remove work, and then I'm going to refresh for today's date. So notice I have here lawn maintenance and fall cleanups. Well, those are not jobs I need cluttering up, so to speak, the workbank. And you notice that lawn maintenance, November 14th, fall cleanup, December 16th, October 7th. So we've got these past dates a month or two ago for these. What I'd like to do though is I want to move my lawn maintenances to spring of 2025. And ideally, I'd like to keep the same day of the week as I currently have. So what I'm going to do is I want to just get a feel for the dates of these lawn maintenance. So I'm going to go lawn maintenance there. So here are my lawn maintenance. I'm going to sort by date here. So I have 11/15, 11/14, and so on down here, 11/13. Okay. Now, the way this works is once I've got a feel for the lawn maintenance and the dates this in the past where they're scheduled, I go up here to adjust schedule. And I'm going to set this date to 11/15 because that was the date of at least some of my jobs. I'm going to notice that the 15th is a Friday. So 11/15, and I go here, getting back to November, 11/15. So I'm going to get everything on a Friday. I hit show jobs. All right, so here now are jobs scheduled for 11/15, crew 1 and crew 2. So I come here, check those off. And now I come up here and I want to move these to the first Friday in April. So that's the 4th here. So we got April 4th. I ignore this crew stuff because I'm going to keep them on the same crew. And what this is allowing me to do, it is allowing me to take Friday jobs and move them all together to a Friday in the spring. Because again, I try to keep my customers on the same day of the week, season after season, and assigned to the same crew. So I click move jobs. And now all those jobs have been moved. And now I can come back over here and say, okay, let's just look at the 14th here, Thursday, and see if I've got anything. Show jobs. And sure enough, here are jobs for the 14th. So again, and this is a Thursday. So same situation. I then check all these off. Go here. Go ahead to that Thursday, the 3rd, and hit move jobs. And now if I come back under daily, this is a shorter list. We may not be able to tell, but it is. Now, likewise, fall cleanups. I want to move them to next fall. So I would come here. I want to just sort for my fall cleanups. I want to get an ideas the dates. So this is like 10/7 through 12/23. And so I'll crew 1. So I can just do like 10/7. And you may want to do them in batches because if I did the whole date range, I would also get a bunch of those lawn maintenance ones in here and have to kind of do a lot more hunting and pecking for that or cherry picking. So we're going to start with the December, the 10/7. So again, come here, 10/7, 10/7. So here are the fall cleanups. Choose those. Come here. And I want to roll those ahead to October of 2025. So I'll do the 6th and move jobs. Okay, so this is another way of doing an end of year activity if it applies to your company. That is, you can take jobs that are still on the schedule for the end of 2024 and move them in chunks, not just individually to that. Now you can do it individually. I could come in here, click on the little calendar, or look, I'm going to click on the pencil, come in here, and I can say, okay, I want to do this October 6th and check. And now that one would be changed, but it's easier often to do them as groups in that. So that's another way of doing a change at the end of the year to move things into next year to be organized for the next season. Okay, so that's the second of the three things we wanted to look at. We looked at the under customize, into your functions, under daily, we looked at the adjust schedule and how that can be useful for getting ready for the next season. And now the third thing we're going to look at is price adjustments. So again, we're back under customize and price adjustments. So you click on this and you get this screen. Now, a lot of times companies will record how long jobs take through the course of the year, and they will see what revenue each customer generated for them. And on a customer by customer basis, they will see that some customers have been very profitable and others have not been. And instead of doing an across the board price increase, they will be more focused, and they'll look at that job costing report, and from that job costing report determine that these customers need to be raised and others can be left alone. Because when you do an across the board price increase, say 3% to all your customers, it may be like you get a notice from an insurance company that your premiums are being increased by 3%. It may motivate you to look for a new provider. And that way, if you are able to focus on the customers where you're already losing money, if they don't accept a price increase and they find another provider, well, you're no worse off because they were losing you money anyway. And so to use the job costing reports, which we're not going to look at now, but to use that's another way, and perhaps a more focused way to do price adjustments without doing across the board changes. Okay. All right. So these are laid out very logically, 5 steps. The first step is to change the price, and you have the option of raising or lowering prices. And then whatever you choose, you can then round it to the nearest dollar. Otherwise, it'll be a literal 3%. And if it comes out to be, $112.17, that's what it's going to be. But if you round to the nearest dollar, it'll round that to 112 or 113, depending on where the 50 cents lays. Okay, so we're going to raise prices. And then you have the choice of raising prices on jobs and rounds when they're pay per job as the bill type, or you can raise on the installment. So we're going to come back to Ben. And if a customer has an installment, it's here under properties and under default. So here's Ben's installment. Now, if I come back here and I choose installments, it's going to increase this number. It is not going to increase these numbers per job over here. And if I do, let me just close this out so I don't get confused. And if I do jobs, it's going to increase the jobs, but not the installments. And you could do this twice, meaning you could come through this process and raise installments a certain amount, and then you could come through this again and raise the jobs. As you can see, these circles are called radio buttons. You can have one selected, you can't select multiple ones. Okay, so we're going to raise jobs, and then you have the choice of you can do a fixed charge or a percent change, fixed change or percent. So you say, I want to raise all my mowing customers $3. So you could put $3 in here. And then, or you could say, no, I want to raise them all 3%. Okay. Then having selected whether you're raising it by a fixed or percentage, you now focus on who's getting this change. Now, there may be some jobs you want to change. Let's say you realize you're not making as much money mowing as you want. Other jobs are doing good, doing well. So you can come in here to jobs, and you could say range, and this allows you actually to use the job number as the basis for making the change. It's not that long list of all your actual services that you then cherry pick. So let's say your mowing job is job 1. You could come here, and now what would happen is when you hit process, it'll just do job 1. And I was talking to someone earlier today who wants to raise installment prices. Well, I suggested to that person, you come to installments here, and then you choose a specific customer. So let's go back to Ben, and Ben is customer 226. So I want to come here and just do 226. And just to remind us, Ben has an installment of 155. Let's see if I have more luck with this than I did with the discount. Property type just allows you to focus on residential or commercial. And that flag is in the property section. So if you weren't aware of that, so if we come here and see in properties, you've got residential or commercial. If this is set, you could then just raise the rates on all your residential accounts, but not your commercial accounts. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to raise the prices, rounding to the nearest dollar, of 3% on our installments for 3% for customer Ben. And I hit process. Now, what this will also show you is it's going to give you now a report. And whatever you raise, whether it's jobs or, like in this case, installments, and for however many customers, you're going to get this report. And it could be very long, many pages. But so what this is telling me is that the old amount was 155. A 3% increase rounded to the nearest dollar brings it to 160. So we're going to come back here, and we're going to click off general, and then go to refresh. So we come back to properties, and now it's 160. So that's how you would adjust prices at the end of the year for the next season. And again, some of these, because if you're in the middle of doing snow related services, you may want to raise prices on other jobs. You could use this jobs and then the job number range to exclude. So let's say you're all your mowing, all your snow removal services are between 50 and 100. You could go 1 to 49 and then 101 to 999. And this would skip those between 50 and 100 and not affect them to raise those prices. All right. That is all we were going to cover for today. So let me go ahead and invite you to unmute. Let me just see if I can. Okay, so go ahead if you have any questions about this. We are finishing up a little bit early. I will stop the recording in a bit, and then we'll process that. And it might be relatively soon that we'll announce it's available for folks. So any questions from anyone? Okay, well, let me do something here. Let me, okay. If you wanted to contact me directly, you can do that to billc@clip.com. And then if you have any questions from the class, and I'm the trainer, so other stuff, you're welcome to contact me. Otherwise, I guess I'm not seeing anyone asking questions. So hope you all have a great day and a great 2025. I look forward to connecting with you again. So I will talk to you later, folks. Bye.